Hey guys, Jacob here. This is another 1.8.3 build video for The Division. This is going to be covering my AlphaMark hybrid that was requested by a few viewers, so I'm going to get right into it and show you guys how to make the build. The build is based around 3-piece Alpha with 2-piece Predator and the Ninja Bag. The weapons I'm using are the House, the MP7, and the sawed-off shotgun. The House has Deadly, Vicious, and Card Counter and Responsive, since you're going to unlock the 4th talent on your secondary weapon, because that's what AlphaBridge does. I'll go over the talents. Deadly for the crit damage, which is increased by 15%. Vicious, which is the crit chance increased by 10% while having more than 2 segments of health. Card Counter, which comes standard on the house, or every house. One half of the magazine does 20% increased damage. The half which deals increased damage flips after 15 seconds or when the magazine is empty. Responsive, damage decreased by 10% when closer to the 10 meters to the target. You could use Unforgiving if you don't want Vicious for the crit chance. So if you're face tanking someone, then you can just throw Unforgiving on there and hit them a little bit harder. The weapon mods I'm using on this build are a Pro.Sight with crit damage, stability, crit chance. Yeah, no headshot damage because I can't hit headshots for shit, so I'm using the stability scope. Extended mag with crit chance, rate of fire, and magazine size. A small grip with crit damage, stability, knockdown range. And then allow vent break with crit damage, headshot damage, and crit chance. If you want more crit chance, which you're absolutely not going to need it, but if you want to get rid of Vicious and throw Unforgiving, use something like the Tyrant Suppressor or something like the Rugged Mini. Now the secondary I'm using is the MP7 with Deadly, Vicious, and Responsive. Since Responsive is in the last talent slot, you're going to unlock this on your primary weapon. Same goes for any talent that's in the last slot, so if you don't want Responsive, you could use Unforgiving or something like Competent. The mods on this weapon, which this is mostly just to burn enemies down if they're almost dead. A C79 scope with crit damage, crit chance, and optimal range. Extended mag with crit damage, rate of fire, and magazine size. A small grip with crit damage, reload speed, and optimal range. And allow vent break with crit damage, crit chance, and headshot damage. Now, the sidearm I'm using is the self-preserved, predatory, and determined sawed-off with 161k damage. This is mostly for just to smack NPCs or shoot players while they're on the ground. So if there's a player that's on the ground, you can smack them and get determined and get predatory. So while you're in combat, if you flip to this and smack them. Also, if you shoot a NPC and it's like a red bar or someone, NPC that's a red bar or a yellow bar or purple, whatever, as long as they're low health, or if they have high health, they're going to have to shoot them a little bit more. But if they're on low health, you'll be able to shoot them and get the active skill cooldown by 7.50%. If you want to get your ults back a little bit quicker, I highly recommend using the cool-headed and determined pistol. It was a bitch to get these rolls, but it was totally worth it because when I was running the DZ with my buddies and we were rogue, and we had a few seconds to spare, I could shoot some of the red bars and also kill them and get cool-headed procced, and also kill them and get determined procced as well. So you're getting your ult back and your skills back very quick. Now I'll go over the gear. The chest piece I'm using is the AlphaBridge chest piece with health, enemy armor damage, ammo capacity, and stamina. 2 crit chance mods, which is a stamina and a firearms. I'm using a AlphaBridge mask, which is rolled for firearms, crit chance, and damage to elites, and a stamina crit chance mod. The knee pads are AlphaBridge, rolled for crit damage, firearms, damage to elite, disarmament resistance, and shock. If you can get bleed, burn, and shock, that's what you want, but my luck is pretty shit with AlphaBridge knee pads, so this is what I'm using. The mods on this are a pulse crit damage mod and a stamina crit chance mod as well, rolled for stamina. The Ninja Bag is rolled for stamina, crit damage, ammo capacity, and a firearms crit chance mod, and 2 pulse crit damage mods. The gloves, which are Predator now, SMG, crit damage, crit chance, and firearms. The holster, all stats, roll for crit chance, and a pulse crit damage mods. Now I'll go over what AlphaBridge and Pred does with each piece. AlphaBridge, from the 2 bonus, you're going to get health regen, and from the set bonus 3, you're going to get 5% weapon damage, and set bonus 4, which is the old school Alpha. If your primary and secondary weapons of the same category, they share the free talent. All talent requirements are ignored for all weapons, so you can have any talent you want on this gear set, basically, if you really want to. So, about the weapon talents that share the free talent is like, say, like I said earlier, with the card counter house, you will not get card counter from the house. If you run, say you run the MP7 and you flip these, you are not going to get card counter from the house. Let me see that. Now, some people think you can, but you can't. The exotic has to be your primary weapon, that way you get the last weapon talent from your other gun. So if you try doing this with a bullfrog, it will work, but you're going to have a yellow AR as your secondary to unlock the last talent in that gun. Now, For the other talents, or the other sets, my bad, are set bonus 5, which is 25% health regen and 10% weapon damage, and improved alpha, which is when you kill a player basically, or an NPC like a veteran or elite, you'll constantly have a signature skill procced, and when you kill an enemy, it's activated for 10 seconds, and it's pretty cool, but I don't use it, so it's just kind of there. Now the Predator, which is set bonus 2, which is reload speed, and set bonus 3 is assault rifle and SMG damage, and you get that from using set bonus 2 and 3. Set bonus 4, which is hitting 10 shots without switching targets, makes the target bleed for 50% of the damage already done by those bullets. Set bonus 5 is same again, basically 8% assault rifle damage, 8% SMG damage, and 10% reload speed. Set bonus 6, which you guys all probably know and you've probably felt, which is improved Predator's Mark. Hitting headshots without switching targets now applies Predator's Mark bleed, which makes targets bleed for 50% more of the damage. When you have, basically, in English, the more stamina you have, the more lethal. It's going to be up to 9,000. I wouldn't go to 10,000 if you're going to use a 6-piece, but it's going to hurt. But this build is not based on the 6-piece bonus. It's based on the 3-piece bonus. That's going to be about it for the gear sets. I'll get into the character sheet and the abilities after. The character sheet on the house is rolled for 60% crit chance, 132 damage, and 55% headshot damage. Now, the damage to elites is 28%, enemy armor damage is 5%, and the skill haste is 0. You know, all this stuff doesn't really matter. Toughness is 456,000 with 305,000 health. Now, the abilities, which I'll show you guys right after I cover the MP7. If you guys are really curious, I'll cover that as well. 58% crit chance and 134 damage on the MP7. The abilities I'm using are the booster shot for the extra damage with the house, and I'm using the pulse for the extra crit damage, so I can get a little bit more crit damage when I'm using my SMG. You could use a crit chance if you want to flip it, but there's really no point since you almost have max crit chance. If you're dealing with Pred, I recommend using the immune station. That way you can throw this on the ground, and it will not affect you as much. Talents I'm using on this build are Adrenaline. Medkits now give 7/6 immunity from status effects, so if someone hits you with Pred Bleed or Burn, you can hit this, and it will help you out a lot. Combat Medic, use a medkit in your allies to heal group members proxies within 20 meters by 40%. So when someone's right next to you, basically, and you use a normal medkit, it's going to heal them. Strike Back, reach low health, reduce active skill cooldowns by 20%. So if you're almost dead and you have a booster shot, you can actually hit this when you're almost dead. Same goes for your box as well. This one is not correct because for some reason it will not save. I do not know why. But it's actually Battle Buddy. Revive a downed agent, reduce incoming damage by 30% for 10 seconds for both players. So when you hit a grain, this will, or use a defib, or just revive them in general, you'll get a 30% reduced incoming damage. That's going to be about it, guys, for the video. Thank you guys all for watching. I know this build was, pretty simple, and I know it's been done before, but since it was requested, I decided to make it for you guys so you can see and try it out for yourselves. As always, I will catch you guys in the next one.